Here is how you can control people to make them like your music, just like how dog owners get their dog's attention with a bell. And I'm not joking when I say this, you can force people to like your songs through literal hypnosis, just like how a dog bell works. Let's get into it. But in order to get people to like your music, we have to understand why people like music. What's the actual reason for me liking a certain song? Why do you like Drake? Why do you like Kendrick Lamar? We can't just say, oh, because it sounds good. Why does it sound good? Watch this video.
Listening to music increases the blood flow to the regions of your brain that deals with emotions. This is called the limbic system, and it's responsible for a lot of other things too. But the main reason the limbic system makes us like music so much is the chemical it produces. Dopamine. I'm sure you're all familiar with this chemical if you've downloaded this, or if you use any one of these. As your brain becomes familiar with a particular song you like, your body releases dopamine in just the first few seconds of hearing it.
Okay, so this part is very important. He said, when our brains become familiar with a certain song that we like, then our brain releases dopamine when we hear that song again. So this part here is important for several reasons. The first reason is because this is why songs grow on us. This is why when we listen to a song for the first time, we might not like it, but the second time, third time, fourth time, and maybe the fifth time we hear it, we're like, oh, I've heard this song before. I'm gonna dance to it. I like this song. And then sixth time you might save it. But someone has to hear your song over and over and over again to start liking your song. This is a nightmare for small artists because holy shit, we don't have the ad budget. We don't have the budget to spend $100,000 on ads to get our songs listened to over and over and over again before people start liking our songs, right? We don't have the time to make thousands of TikTok videos either. And therefore, we have to use a little bit of a hack to skip this entire queue to get our song liked immediately. This is a literal hack that's being used all the time by big artists and musicians, and I'll show you examples of that, and you will know of examples yourself when I've mentioned this tactic. And it uses one word that starts with the letter F to basically skip the queue and get your song liked immediately. Quick warning, if you're the type of person that's gonna be like, hey, this is not music, this is not creativity. I miss the days when music was all about making music that people love, blah, 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 blah. Get off this video because this video is gonna piss you off. And the truth is, this is exactly that. You're making music that people like, you're just using a little bit of a hack. At the end of the day, people still like the music that you're creating. Hey, you're gonna hate regardless, so skip past this video if you're that type of person. Going back to it, how can we skip this queue here and get people to like our song immediately? I wanna go back to that statement that I've just mentioned. When our brain becomes familiar with a particular song that we like, when we hear that song again, our brain releases dopamine. I'm gonna write this statement out on this whiteboard. And don't skip this because I'm saying the same thing over and over again. I'm saying it over and over again purposefully, just so it gets drilled into your head, because once you understand this concept, you can apply it in so many ways that will really, really, really help you in your music career. And it'll help you understand why certain songs get liked immediately and why your song, maybe nobody likes it the first time they hear it, and it takes them 1 million times to listen to it before they start liking it. And this can also be a reason why you have no monthly Spotify listeners. When our brain becomes familiar with a song we like, our brain releases dopamine when we hear that song. This statement right here is so powerful, and I hope you didn't skip through this part because you need to understand this, all right? And don't think, oh yeah, he's talking about samples. I already know this, we already talked about this. This is more than just samples. The word here is familiar, okay? That's a word that started with the letter F, which is so powerful. When our brain becomes familiar with a song we like, okay, I'm gonna also highlight this, our brain releases dopamine when we hear that song again. Basically, we like a song when we hear that song again. So we can replace dopamine and say releases pleasure to make it easier to understand. We basically just get ear orgasms when we hear a song that is familiar to us, okay? Let's keep this word familiar, keep this word pleasure or orgasm, and let's switch these words here with something else. So I just erased the word song, and I'm gonna put that here. Because when you like a song, you like the song as a whole, yes. However, you might not be aware, well, your brain obviously isn't paying attention to this, but subconsciously, you like components of the song. There are many aspects of the song that you like, okay? And this might sound obvious to you, but let me blow your mind a little bit if you're not already aware of this. Your brain recognizes a whole list of things. The drum pattern, the drum kit sound, the type of snares used, the type of hi-hats used, 808 patterns or 808 sounds. And I'm gonna give you guys examples of this. Vocal textures, And there are thousands of different examples of components of a song, but these are just a couple of them, okay? Going back to this statement, when our brains become familiar with a song we like, our brain releases pleasure when we hear that song, okay? Now let me replace it with drum pattern. So I've just made this a little bit more easier to understand. I canceled our brain releases, dopamine, and replaced it with we feel pleasure when we hear that blank. Let me blow your mind real quick. When our brain becomes familiar with a drum pattern we like, we feel pleasure when we hear that drum pattern. Drum pattern. Drum pattern. An example of this is Jersey club drum patterns. There is a very specific kick pattern with these beats. And when it first started popping off, this is exactly why so many artists, so many well-known artists started hopping on these instrumentals, such as NLE Choppa, Ice Spice, Kyle Rich, Drake, is because they recognize this right here. They all are aware of this, by the way. And this is why trends happen. When one song pops off with a certain sound, with a certain drum pattern, for example, like I said, the Jersey club drum beats, then all artists will start using it because it's become a trend. And going to vocal textures. One vocal texture that is very common nowadays is this Kyle Rich raspy voice. Gotta get in a bar. They don't shoot, but they all run shot. Get turned to a frame on a picture. Now this is one thing that is dangerous right here. As an artist, you can pop off really quickly by using this voice right here in your music. However, these are trends that we're talking about. And trends can fall off. Specific trends can fall off, such as vocal textures. Because once everybody starts using this vocal texture here, just like once everybody starts using the same 808, once everybody starts using that drum pattern, it becomes saturated and people get bored of it and want to hear something else. It's just like eating a chocolate bar. If you eat a chocolate bar once, nice. If you eat it every single day, the same chocolate bar, you're like, what is this? I want to eat something else. Let me switch to, I don't know, honeycomb chocolate. However, when you make your identity, this right here, the raspy voice, once this trend dies, you're screwed. You have to go through a whole rebranding process. So I don't really suggest using this right here unless you're very versatile with what you can do with your voice, and you can experiment with your voice and have a whole bunch of different vocal textures, just like how XXXTentacion does it. He's very good at switching his voice up to the point where, damn, it sounds like there's 4 different people on his songs. And therefore his songs are very, I'm going to a whole completely different tangent here, but it's very smart what X does on a side note with having different vocal textures and sounds, because people are never gonna get bored of him because he is 4 or 5 different people. He can make himself sound completely different in 4 to 5 different songs. All right, very smart right there. That's nothing to do with this. But I wanna mention, going back to this point right here, if I replace this and put back in song here, song. This is why samples work so well. And if you've been a follower of my channel, you know this, okay? This is even more reason to subscribe to this channel, because everybody who watches my channel is already aware of this right here. So really quick, I'm gonna talk about my mentorship services. If you wanna have an additional 10,000 to 50,000 monthly Spotify listeners added, then I am here to help you grow yourself towards that. From helping you create viral songs, helping you with your mindset, and just overall helping you with content creation and the marketing side of your music. I help the range of artists from people who have not even started posting on Instagram to people who already have 1 million+ Instagram followers. So it doesn't matter how many followers you have. The only thing that I look out for is for people who are persistent, work every single day on their music career, and actually want to win. And don't just think of me as a magic potion or secret formula that will help you blow up, because it is very much a 2-person game with my mentorship services. One of the guys that I was working with got their most streamed songs and had their song all over TikTok and became very popular within their country. The reason why samples work so well in rap songs is because our brain is familiar with that song, and therefore when we hear that sample, immediately we're like, oh yeah, I like this song, because our brain, our body releases dopamine. I'm not a scientist. When we hear that song, okay, when we hear that sample, okay? And the same thing works with drum patterns, drum kit sounds. Hell, I have a whole bunch of different lists, examples here. Chords, melodies, vocal riffs, effects, you know, using gunshots in your drill beats, familiar genres. Bro, there's a whole list of things that you can trigger familiarity with. And one thing that this video that I'm referencing to, shout out to this channel by the way, also mentioned was how our emotions are associated with sounds, okay? Watch this part right here.
From birth, your brain will start detecting patterns and associating things to them, including the melodies and rhythm of music. Let's say, for example, that you're 4 years old and that you're sitting in the back of your mom's car. You'll hear whatever song's playing on the radio, and from there on out, that song is imprinted in your brain. But that imprint is also associated with all of the things around you when you heard that song, like how you were feeling, where you were, who you were around. All of those things make up why your brain associates feeling with music.
So this explains a few things. Okay, one thing which is not really related to this is why I hear certain songs and feel sudden moments of extreme sadness, while other people hear that song and are like, yeah, I love that song. One song, for example, is I Wish I Knew You Wanted Me. What's that song called? Steve Lacy, you know the song I'm talking about. When I hear that song, I feel sad because there was a point in my life which was very shit, not good at all, and I was listening to that song, and because I was in such a bad mood, I associate that song with my bad mood and it brings me back to that memory. Whereas my other friend hears that song and it brings him to amazing memories. Same with songs I heard when I was a little kid, when I was somehow feeling sad, playing Legos. I heard this song that my mom was playing on the radio, and it's not a negative song at all, it's actually a really positive song. But whenever I hear that song, I just feel like shit. From a song that I heard when I was a little kid. Isn't this amazing? Now this is an idea I want to bring about right now, and this is how you can utilize songs that people universally feel good when they listen to, and sampling those songs in your music. Because if most people like that song, most people will like your song because you're sampling that song. You're gonna trigger this right here. You're gonna make people feel pleasure when they hear your song because they're familiar with that song and they associate that song with positive emotions. An idea, okay? I know I've spoke about this before, but I haven't spoken about this. Find a movie or a movie scene which is very, very, very popular that everybody has watched and that brings about positive emotions. And one example here is Shrek. Hey now, da 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 da. What's that song called? Smash Mouth All Star. Sample that right there. And everyone's gonna be brought back to Shrek. Who doesn't like Shrek? Everybody loves Shrek. That show nobody dislikes. And therefore, you're gonna trigger immediate pleasure. And I haven't heard that song being sampled before. Gems on this channel, and it's free. So, okay, I also wanna drop a crazy bomb right here. Now this one is kind of crazy, but I don't feel like anybody's gonna make use of this, therefore I'm not afraid to share it with you because someone's gonna say it anyways. Listen to every single FIFA World Cup song, and they all have one familiar aspect that makes people feel immediately strong and powerful. And that's the fact that they use crowds in their music. Makes them feel very strong, makes you feel strong, it gives you goosebumps when you listen to that song. That's so powerful. You listen to a song and you feel all of that. How crazy is that? You know what artists have used this in their recent songs, this exact strategy? Because everybody's familiar with that? Kanye West with Carnival. Whoa, whoa, bro. Immediately you get goosebumps, you feel like you're part of a tribe even though you're sitting home in your bedroom alone, and you feel like you just want to go crazy, you want to start a riot. It's that effect, that unity effect, that's brought about when you hear crowd vocals. That's crazy to me. That's something that I just discovered sitting down, listening to FIFA World Cup music, wondering why all of these songs are so powerful. And I realized it's because they use this vocal texture right here, crowd effects. Even crowd effects in the percussion has been used in a lot of these for FIFA World Cup songs. It's not, singular percussion instruments. It's echoed group percussionists that create this like cathedral sound when you hear it. It sounds like it's being played at a stadium, and that brings about strength. You know what I mean? It's just like you get that feeling of marching in a band for, I don't even know what the hell you're marching for, but you just feel powerful. Anyways, guys, that is it for this video. I hope you realized how powerful it is to use this right here, familiarity. And sometimes I'm like, damn, why did I make this video? Because now I feel like I have to find something else crazy to talk about because I've just dropped another bomb. If you do enjoy this video, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. No, fuck the fuck. I've never subscribed to my channel in my life. There's no way I'm saying that for the first time. Don't subscribe to this channel. Just use this, and I hope to see you again another day.